Welcome to Free Marketing Fridays. Today, we are going to be talking about all those little tasty voice of customer quotes and snippets that you may have pulled from customer reviews, interviews, sales call transcripts, survey responses, and they are all just kind of sitting there super sad and neglected because no one's using them. But your marketing team could really use them to help kind of create and guide copy and messaging. And your sales team needs to understand the most current objections to purchase that they need to proactively overcome. And, your customer success team also needs to know why your customers are sticking around and what are they saying to other people. So they all need to see how different trends change over time and what customers are saying in those snippets and comments. So that's what we're talking about today. If we haven't met before, my name's Sunny Hunt. I'm the Chief Customer Nerd here at Hunt Interaction. My work typically lives at the intersection of customer research, strategic customer growth, and revenue acceleration. And I've helped a lot of companies like this and more build competitive moats, not based on features of the products, but based on what customers value, because your customers are really the only unique advantage that anybody has in the world of AI, where anybody can build a feature overnight. So if you've done any kind of customer research, this probably sounds a little bit familiar. Like, we are collecting feedback everywhere from interviews, surveys, reviews, support, tickets, call recordings. But when teams need it, nobody can find it. And when we can find it, nobody can make heads or tails of it. It's really confusing. It's just in this jumbled mess, and it doesn't make any sense. So teams guess at marketing messaging. They debate on what customers really want, and then they build features on whoever yelled loudest in the meeting. So today we're going to break down how to build a repository for those words, phrases, snippets, and those key data points that your customers use to make decisions so that it actually gets used. So the term voice of customer gets thrown around a lot. There are a lot of different definitions for what that means, but today we are going to be talking about the specific words, phrases that your customers use, how often they use them, the themes that are associated with those words and phrases, and the emotions, and then how they're quantified so that you can point to data to make better, faster decisions. So voice of customer, the actual words and phrases customers use to describe their decision journey, how they make decisions, why they chose you over competitors, what they value that they get from your solution versus somebody else's, and why they stay or why they leave. This isn't analytics. This isn't your interpretation. This is their exact language guiding decisions and building data patterns over time. Your customer data, again, is the only competitive advantage that your competitors cannot copy. Your repository can hold voice of customer data from tons of different sources. It's not just for surveys. It's not just for reviews or whatnot. You could throw things in there like customer surveys, interviews, call transcripts, reviews and support tickets, social mentions. Anytime you pull customer insights or quotes, they can be added here. But the old saying goes like garbage in, garbage out. You're going to need to track some key things in your repository so that you can pull out, segment, and kind of slice and dice this data properly, because you want your data to be credible. So in your repository, you're absolutely going to need a few things. You're going to have to track these regardless of what you do. The link to the raw data or the review or the survey answer or the entire survey question response. You need to know where you got it. The source and the date, where it came from, the date it was published or the date that you collected it, the specific customer segment. Are they new? Are they existing? Are they churned? Is it unknown? You haven't verified that they're real customers. And then the key voice of customer quote. Highlight those key text nuggets that stand out, the things that are the words and phrases that are emotional, the words and phrases that kind of stick out, that are unusual or the wrong words that kind of pop off the page. Those are the things that you should be highlighting and collecting. Then also the themes. These are the key questions, like who are the competitors you looked at, the value that you drive, the objections to purchase, the problem to solve. You can go really, really deep or really, really broad with these. But again, just be sensitive to the level of effort it's going to take to maintain. The more concise and the more consolidated that you can be, the better off your results are going to be. And then the tags. These are the tags that answers or nest within those themes. So the objections, you might have like price, difficulty, time. Those are individual tags that you can use in an objection to purchase. So you're going to want to have those tags associated with those voice of customer quotes so that you can go through and tag, or as you can count the number of those tags that show up over time in those individual columns, those theme columns. So you'll want to normalize or consolidate those as much as possible. Again, you need to try and balance the amount of data that you track versus being able to get the data or the level of detail that you use in your repository versus how big of a pain in the ass it's going to be to pull. Because if it's too big of a pain, you're not going to do it. It's not going to be kept up. It's just going to be another thorn in your side. It needs to be usable, but detailed enough. And only you can really kind of figure out exactly what that balance needs to be. My recommendation is starting broad and adding more detail as you get a little bit more sophisticated. So ultimately, you want your themes and your tags to look something like this. So in this second column right here, we have the actual quote from the survey. And in this column over here, that's the theme. So the theme would be the benefits or the value, and then the individual tags: save money, no long commute, live, work where I want. And then you can go through and quantify those particular tags. Again, this is how you quantify qualitative data. It's awesome. Where are you going to put this repository? Like, what do you store it in? How do you actually format it? Use the tools that you already have access to and that your teams are familiar and familiar with using. This needs to be really low friction and easy to access. My recommendation: use Google Sheets, use Excel, use Airtable, use Notion. Some people absolutely freaking love Notion. It's not my cup of tea, but like, I prefer Airtable. You do you, whatever works. But you need to be able to filter those results. Ideally, produce a quantified chart to show data markers or changes over time. And visualized data always sells better than just writing everything out, like 23% increase. It's like, no, not really. But if you can show that in a chart, things become more tangible more quickly. So I have a Free Marketing Fridays episode in the YouTube channel about data visualization and how to simplify that. That would be really helpful for this. But you also need to make sure that you have edit controls. You don't want everybody coming into this repository and putting their fingers in it and messing everything up. And you don't want to go through a procurement exercise, onboarding and training and a headache just to do this. Use the tools that you already have that your team is also really familiar with using. And yeah, there are AI-based tools that can automatically do this for you, but they miss a lot of the emotional nuance, and the tagging isn't still like 100%. There's a lot of discernment and a lot of experience that goes into this and into this tagging exercise. So you need a keen eye and experience over time in order to be able to pull out and start tagging these things really, really fast. This is the easier, faster way to do all of this. That's low friction, that can help get your team on board with using this and then percolating it throughout the organization. So once you create this little snazzy repository, like, how do you get people to use it? Just telling them that it exists, like, oh, I have this really great repository of voice of customer data that's quantified, blah, 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 blah. No one cares. You have to sell this and you have to show the power of how it can help. Marketers are really good at communicating externally to external audiences, but we suck when it comes to building buy-in internally and communicating across different teams. We just kind of fall down with that. I don't know what it is. So my recommendations: here's how to get buy-in for people to start using this and relying on it as a regular source of data. Start with your own team. You've got to build your own advocacy first, and your team has to use this repository and also contribute to building it out and maintaining it. You can create an internal report. So as you notice changes over time, great. Make a little report card, publish it to your team and other teams monthly or quarterly. Turn it into an internal little newsletter like, hey, this is what we've discovered for our customers, or our customer preferences or our objections that we've noticed over time for customer reviews. This is how they're changing over time. And give them a little report with little tasty nuggets that they can go, oh, that's really cool. Can you tell me more about that? And get them excited and interested in it. And you have to make it fun. You have to make it helpful. You have to show a new insight that could help speed up a future project. Don't put your fingers into current projects and say, well, I have this really helpful tool that can really help you do this stuff. Don't do that. You're going to ruffle a lot of feathers. But if you see a future project on the horizon, like a sales enablement tool refresh, that's the time to meet with your team or meet with other teams and say, hey, you know what? I have some stuff that might be helpful and could actually speed along this process. Would you be interested in taking a look at that? Let me offer you some of these different insights that might be helpful in speeding along this refresh process. That's helpful. That's fun. That's exciting. That helps people work smarter and not necessarily harder. Also, reach out one-on-one with those individuals. Don't call anybody out in a meeting. Just kind of pull them aside and just say, hey, look, I have this really cool thing and we've kind of been piling together. Let me know if this is going to be helpful for you. I think that there's some really tasty quotes in here that could be helpful for whatever project it is that you're working on. And then show those changes over time. You're like, you know what? Last quarter we saw objections that looked like this. But pulling those same types of customer reviews or customer surveys, we're seeing kind of changes that are kind of shifting around. So we might want to be paying attention to that. And always link to the repository. Anytime you talk about the repository, link to it. Offer to help, pull different insights. This is how you get buy-in, by being excited and by using it yourself and making sure that your team is actually using it. Here's an example. So again, let's go back to the example of, say, you know that some sales enablement tools are scheduled for a refresh. This could be like a one-pager, sales deck, something along those lines. You could go to your repository and filter for new customers, like brand new customers, and a recent date range, and then look at the objections theme and where you see that pricing might still be a top concern, or maybe it's not. Then you can pull that exact language about pricing concerns, those little quotes and snippets and little highlights, and then write a quick brief using the words and phrases that the customers actually use, and also include some of the data points and what you're seeing change over time. Is this maybe a little overkill? And, it could be, but you could just throw this into an email really quick. Again, along with a link to your repository. And then maybe you have an intelligence team that could be doing this, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're just too busy doing something else, right? This is entirely possible, but this is a super scrappy, low budget way to build competitive differentiation that helps you shorten sales cycles, stand apart from competitors in a way that's meaningful to your prospects. Because when you reflect the words and phrases that your existing customers use to describe the value they get from your product, the odds of you getting in front of your prospects and getting their heads nodding and going, oh my gosh, they know exactly what's going on here. Those odds increase and you're automatically starting to build trust. It's a good thing. So just to kind of wrap everything up, there's a huge opportunity here to create something meaningful, especially when it comes to competitive differentiation. This is an easy way using the words and phrases your customers use to describe their purchase process and the value they get, as well as the decision-making criteria that they use to purchase your product in the first place. So voice of customer, again, this is how they make decisions, why they chose you over competitors, the value they get from your solution, why they stay, and what they tell people about your solution. And then where you can find voice of customer data, you probably already have a ton of this. You probably don't need to go out and get net new anything. You probably have customer surveys that you can pull open-ended answers from. You have interviews and call transcripts and win-loss interviews and reviews and support tickets and a whole lot more. It's just waiting there for you to kind of grab and filter through. You need to be able to track enough data to be helpful so that you can filter and slice and dice the data to get the right segment data from the right channels and a date range. But it shouldn't be big enough that it's an absolute pain in the ass to maintain. Because if it's too big, if it's too cumbersome, nobody's going to be maintaining it, and no one has any interest in maintaining it because nobody needs an extra hobby. Use the tools you already have that provide low friction access to other team members to use. You don't want to bring on a new tool that someone has to go through a tutorial to use because no one is going to do that. Absolutely not. Use what you have, use what's familiar, use those low friction items, and make sure that you have edit access locked down so that no one can screw everything up. And then get your teams using them first. Your team uses it first, then start broadcasting what you're doing, what you're finding, changes over time, and then reach out and work one-on-one with individuals on other teams for their future projects to help them kind of accelerate the work that they're doing. Remember, you're looking for ways to work smarter, not harder. This doesn't have to be a 6-month research project. This is kind of a build as you go type of thing that helps you stand apart from your competitors because you're using data directly from your own customers. So hopefully this is helpful for you. This is all the time that we have today for Free Marketing Fridays because all of our attention spans are absolutely shot. So That's great. If you found this helpful and you're watching this on the replay, please like, share, and comment if you found this helpful. And if you haven't already gotten notifications for these virtual events, please go to freemarketingfridays.com and sign up, and you will get access to the replays as well as invites for future sessions. So thanks for spending time with me today, and I will see you next week on Free Marketing Fridays.